For the best home health and beauty fragrance products, make sure you go to ashkicking.com.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Man, I'm gonna tell you, that is some of the funniest stuff I have ever seen in the sport of boxing. Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So ever since this food fight, damn near brawl broke out yesterday, fans are still buzzing over what took place. Now, just to surmise what took place the other day, just in case you guys haven't been following this story, Deontay Wilder, he was sitting in a restaurant eating. BJ Saunders, he approached him, shook his hand. Deontay Wilder, he said to BJ Saunders, "I heard you call me a racist cunt." BJ Saunders, he confessed and he said, "Yeah, I did." Deontay Wilder, he stood up like he was about to walk towards BJ Saunders. They held him back. BJ Saunders started to walk out the restaurant, but before he did, he threw a piece of chicken at Deontay Wilder and then ran for his life. Now, shortly after this took place, both Deontay Wilder and BJ Saunders, they attended the Tyson Fury fight, and this is where they squashed the beef and reunited. Now, I already made a video on them basically squashing the beef, but what's interesting is I noticed a lot of fans, they were saying, oh, this was all staged and all of this was fake, etc., etc., etc. So the question is, was this really staged? Was it fake? Was this just for promotion? And I'm telling you right now, I don't believe it was staged at all. And obviously I'm talking about the incident at the restaurant. Okay, so let's go ahead and just review the whole situation. Let's start with what Deontay Wilder said in this clip right here where you see him hanging out with BJ Saunders at the Tyson Fury fight. Now Deontay Wilder, he said, look, things happen, but it's all love. It's all fun and games, but it's good for promotion. And then BJ Saunders, he just made jokes about him not getting to eat, and he went home hungry because he didn't get to eat when he was there at the restaurant. Deontay Wilder, he said, well, yeah, I didn't get to eat my food either. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is when Deontay Wilder says, things happen. When you say things happen, that means sometimes things happen out of your control, which means if it wasn't controlled, then it wasn't staged. Something else you need to pay attention to. When BJ Saunders walked into that restaurant and Deontay Wilder said, I heard you call me a racist cunt. BJ Saunders, he called Deontay Wilder a racist cunt way before there was ever any talks of a Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. So we know that when Billy Joe Saunders said this, it had nothing to do with, once again, trying to promote a Tyson Fury fight. In fact, it was the contrary, because BJ, he said this because of things that Deontay Wilder said, believing that Anthony Joshua was conceding and submitting to his promoter, Eddie Hearn, when it comes to taking the Deontay Wilder fight. Deontay Wilder, he blames Eddie Hearn on the fight not taking place. He believes Eddie Hearn is pulling the strings and Anthony Joshua is allowing him to do so. This is what Billy Joe Saunders was referring to when he called Deontay Wilder a racist cunt. Now let's go ahead and talk about that racist cunt comment for a minute. But you know what, before I jump into that, let me conclude my point when it comes to this situation being staged. Listen, Deontay Wilder is in someone else's country. Deontay Wilder, he understood that if he would have allowed this situation to escalate, meaning it would have went from the restaurant to the Tyson Fury fight, and then there would have been a brawl over there, he knows that he would be looked at as the bad guy. He already understands that. He's on the coincidental list. He understands this. And if things just get too out of control, it's just not a good look overall. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Deontay Wilder, he told his boys, listen, I don't want no beef when we go to this Tyson Fury fight. I don't want no heat. Because once again, with Deontay Wilder being on the coincidental list, he understands how that can be perceived. Matter of fact, when BJ Saunders, when he talked about the incident in the restaurant before he met back up with Deontay Wilder, he was asked, did you guys squash the beef? And BJ Saunders said, I don't know what's going to happen when I get there to the fight. He said, with these Americans, you never know what they're like. That's what he said. So that gives you a good idea of who would have been to blame if it would have really went down and escalated. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about this racist cunt comment by Billy Joe Saunders. I find it so damn ironic because I told you guys that I believe I think BJ Saunders, he could possibly be a racist. And I told you guys how there are categories of racism, like a hurricane, from a category 1 to a category 5. Racism is racism regardless. But the reason why I say there are categories, because some fans or some people, they'll try to suggest just because you don't burn crosses on people's lawn or just because you don't have Nazi memorabilia in your garage or something like that, you can't possibly be a racist. This is what I mean when I say there are categories of racism. There is a meter of hate, if you will. Some racist people's hate goes through the roof. Some people are more casual with their hate. But racism is racism at the end of the day. I told you guys when I seen Billy Joe Saunders punch Willie Monroe in the balls, a little 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid, whatever he was. For him to do something like that, me personally, you don't have to agree with me, but I'm telling you, me personally, that made me suspect that maybe BJ Saunders is a racist. But I'm not telling you he is a racist. I'm telling you he's a suspected racist. There is a difference. Sergey Kovalev is a racist. Mel Gibson, Hulk Hogan, Dog the Bounty Hunter, they are racist, right? Now, before I go even further with this racism, do you guys realize that BJ Saunders, he called Deontay Wilder a racist, and not one single person in the comment section said, hey, Deontay Wilder is not a racist. How could BJ Saunders say something like that? He's not a racist. Man, BJ Saunders, you think everyone is a racist. Or man, why are you crying? Man, why are you playing the race card, BJ Saunders? You notice no one said that about BJ Saunders. But when I said that BJ Saunders could possibly be a suspected racist, now all of a sudden everybody comes out, every non-black person comes out to defend BJ Saunders, right? So it's okay for BJ Saunders to call a black person a racist, but don't call no white person a suspected racist. You guys see how the double standards work? There was not one single comment of anyone saying this is ridiculous. How could you call Deontay Wilder a racist? Only thing they wanted to make clear is that they were highly offended that you would even imply or suggest that maybe Billy Joe Saunders is a racist. Look, man, if I tell you I think someone is a racist, if you don't think he's a racist, why does it bother you? I'm just telling you what I personally think. In fact, when it comes to suspecting racism, I also suspect that Sergey Kovalev was a racist way before he called Adonis Stevenson a monkey. Way before he went on radio shows calling black people the N-word in Russia. I suspected that Hulk Hogan was a racist way before he got exposed as a racist. You know the funny thing about this whole racism thing, once again, now BJ Saunders, he can come out and he can call a black person a racist and no one cares about him saying it. But now that I'm talking about racism, because the stuff that I'm saying makes sense and is true, this makes racist people uncomfortable because they start to feel guilty. They start to feel you're talking about them because they know what type of person they are deep down inside. But you ever notice when there's any suggestion that a non-black person is a racist, especially if we're talking about a white person, if there's any suggestion that he may be a racist. You notice if there's no like hard concrete evidence, these fans, they come out so quick to defend this man. There's no proof. How can you say he's a racist just because his son punched some black guy in the balls, etc., etc., etc.? They said all that. There's no proof, right? But then when we have the smoking gun, we have the DNA evidence that someone is a racist like a Sergey Kovalev. Why is it these fans, then they change their tune? Then they say, hey man, shut up man. Why you gotta cry about racism? Why are you talking about this? You see how it works? If there's no proof, just continue to deny it. If there is proof, then just try to stop the witness from testifying, mafia style. You feel me? So we can't trust these fans sitting over here saying, hey man, there's no way this guy is a racist. There's no proof of it, etc., etc., etc. Because these are the same fans that will try to defend Sergey Kovalev for being a racist. These are the same fans that defended Conor McGregor when he was calling black people monkeys. When Floyd Mayweather said there's a racial double standard of how Conor McGregor can basically have the same personality as Floyd Mayweather and be praised while Floyd Mayweather is considered the villain. When Floyd Mayweather said this, everyone, they defended Conor McGregor and they went after Floyd Mayweather for saying this. The same fans that are right now saying, hey man, how could you possibly say BJ Saunders is a racist, etc., etc. These are the same people that defended Conor McGregor when they knew deep down that there was a racial double standard. These are also the same fans that will also tell you that Trayvon Martin, he got what he deserved because he was a suspected criminal. So fans, help me understand this. How is it possible? The only time you talk about racism is when it comes to defending one of your own or defending someone who's not black and trying to prove that he's not a racist. But yet you're never accusing any non-black people of being a racist. Oh, now you'll say a black person is a racist in a minute. A black person could say, I want affirmative action, and they'll call that reverse racism. You know, like it's equivalent to Jim Crow and segregation. Racist soccer fans throwing bananas on a soccer field. Police shooting unarmed black kids at 12 years old. So once again, BJ Saunders, he can say a black person is a racist. But a black person like myself, if I'm talking about racism, especially if it makes sense and it's true, now all of a sudden, these fans don't want to hear it. Once again, because these fans, they feel guilty. It's so funny how these fans, they'll say, hey man, why don't you just talk about boxing? Why are you talking about racism? Just talk about boxing, just stick to boxing, right? But let me make a video about Floyd Mayweather's personal life and his domestic violence case, and you won't see those same fans post one comment saying, hey man, can we just stick to boxing? Man, when Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, ESPN and a lot of other media outlets, they made Floyd Mayweather's personal life a part of the promotion for that fight. I remember when ESPN was promoting the fight, and they did this piece on Floyd and they did a piece on Manny Pacquiao. With Manny Pacquiao, they showed highlights of him training hard and him knocking out people. And then when they showed the highlights of Floyd Mayweather, they showed Floyd Mayweather walking in court handcuffed. Okay? So you don't care about sticking to boxing. You just don't want something said about you that makes you feel uncomfortable and guilty. Do you guys really think it is a coincidence that when black people are called racist, no one ever replies to that person and says, hey man, why you crying? Hey man, why you playing the race card? Hey man, can we just stick to boxing? Why are you playing the race card? Why are you race baiting? You notice they never say that to a person who accuses a black person of being racist. They only say this to black people, which tells you that they themselves are racist. Once again, even though this whole conversation pretty much stems from Billy Joe Saunders calling Deontay Wilder a racist cunt, these racist fans will ignore the fact that BJ Saunders said that and act like only black people are bringing up race and they just hate hearing it so much. But once again, I'm gonna keep hitting your ass with the truth. I'm gonna reiterate and I'm gonna close by saying this. If BJ Saunders can call Deontay Wilder a racist and not one single person in the comment section said he was dead wrong for that, then I could definitely say I believe BJ Saunders is a suspected racist. In a country where Floyd Mayweather was called the N-word and monkeys by many fans in the crowd when Floyd Mayweather was promoting the Ricky Hatton fight. In a country where they had signs calling him a monkey and an N-word when he was doing his press conference for the Conor McGregor fight. Which I heard this from one of Floyd Mayweather's team members. I'm not going to say his name, but he told me personally, he said, damn, Dante, and this guy I'm talking about is not even black. He said, damn, Dante, I was so surprised. I couldn't believe it. He said, I couldn't believe the racism. He said, they had signs. He said, they had signs. And he said, it said the words. It said the words monkey and N-words. He said, I couldn't believe it, Dante. He said he couldn't believe it when he seen this. Okay? So what I'm saying is, I'm not blaming that on Billy Joe Saunders. And like I said, I don't know for sure if he's a racist. That's why I say I think he is. But in a country where stuff like that goes on, let's just say it is not that much of a stretch to suggest that certain people may be racist. In fact, there are stories that I've heard from reporters saying that certain other UK fighters that you guys know very well, I'm not going to say their name right now because the person who told me the story, he didn't want to put the story out. He said the person that got beat up and jumped by this boxer and his goons was so embarrassed of the incident, he didn't want the story to come out. But the report was this boxer and his goons, they jumped this black man calling him N-words and monkeys and all kind of stuff like that. And the guy that was jumped, once again, he didn't want to report the story. And coincidentally, this guy happens to be a friend of Billy Joe Saunders, which is another reason why I have my suspicions. But once again, if you don't agree, that's fine. You could sit over here and tell me you don't believe he's racist at all. That doesn't bother me. Feel free to say it. I mean, it really didn't affect me when BJ Saunders said that Deontay Wilder was a racist. And it clearly didn't bother you fans either. So once again, if you didn't care about him saying that, why would you care about me saying this? But that's a rhetorical question because we know the answer. Something I want to say about that incident possibly being staged. If the incident was staged, wouldn't you think that Deontay Wilder or BJ Saunders, they would have had a camera crew there to record the entire episode? I mean, because when something is staged, it's for everyone to see. I mean, when you're filming a movie that is obviously staged and scripted, you make sure that the camera is recording, right? You don't turn the camera off in the middle of the set. So once again, this is just my personal opinion. I mean, anything is possible. There's a possibility that it still could have been staged. But I'm telling you, by looking at the evidence, it is highly unlikely. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got. I'm on to the next one.